Hey, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with this psychic sister. I'm Christy Brower, and I am your host tonight. Tonight is the Wednesday night case update, where we give a live update if you're with us live on live stream on YouTube and on Facebook, where we talk about true crime cases, what's happening in the true crime world, and any updates on cases we are actively covering. So, if you're with us live, welcome. If you're listening after the fact, welcome as well. I am here all by myself tonight. Katie is off, taking her daughter to college. I guess if she has to do that, then I can be here and do the update by myself. So, I have a lot to share with you tonight. There are a lot of updates in the true crime world. I want you to know that also tonight at 9 p.m. Mountain, which is my time zone, on 48 hours, there will be an interview with the children of Chad Daybell. That is the Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow murder case of Tammy Daybell, Tylee Ryan, and JJ Vallow. So I'm going to be back actually for a second update focused very specifically on that interview after I watch it tonight. So I'm going to give you a little preview of what we know that they are going to say, although I'm sure there's going to be some more. There's some pretty humdingers here already, you guys. So they are speaking out. There are 5 children, and they have come together to speak out about their father's innocence in this case. And if you know anything about the Daybell Vallow case, and if you follow us at all, you definitely do because we talk about it all the time. This is a bit of a stunner, I think also probably a ploy by his defense attorney to try to show that he has his family's support. But what the kids say, Mark Daybell says, according to my understanding, that they were told that their mother was asphyxiated. Now, if you are a true crimer, you know that most people who are asphyxiated are murdered, right? Mark Daybell says, according to my understanding, it just means the breath was interrupted. And in the end, she wasn't able to breathe. And according to that, there's more facts we need. And from that, they have assumed that that means that their mother was not murdered. This feels like reaching like crazy to me. So we'll see what else they have to say in the longer interview. They all say that their father has been framed in spite of the fact that JJ and Tylee's bodies were actually found buried basically in his backyard on his property behind his house. So there's a lot. I know Cammy's already posted a face palm. Me too. There's going to be a lot of face palming later, and I will come back with all of the face palming news after the interview. We'll talk about it and kind of what it means and what it really doesn't mean, because this is just his kids showing their support for their dad. It's not like it's going to have an impact on the actual trial or the actual evidence, because as we know, a grand jury has charged their father with first-degree murder in all 3 deaths. So we're going to come back to that when I come back in my next live stream. But I had a bunch of other news I wanted to share with you because it's interesting. So there is a trial about to start. Or actually not about to start, but I believe is actually going on or about to go on here. This is the murder trial of Janet Ann Taylor. She was killed in La Honda when she was 21 years old. And this is a trial for John Arthur Gautreaux. And he's being tried for her murder. He's actually accused of 2 cold case murders. And this trial has come about in result of some DNA evidence. So this is a very old case. Let's see. I'm just going to give you the date, and I just lost it. It was in 1974. So Janet was raped and murdered in 1974. And of course, at the time, there was no way to test any DNA. So now they have DNA on her pants. And the DNA is quite clearly John Arthur Guttrose. But there's a big controversy going on, because what they have is they have her green corduroy pants. And the green corduroy pants have DNA in several places on it from who we know now to be her killer, which is John Arthur Guttrose. So what the defense is arguing is that when those clothes were originally taken, they did not say that there was a tear in the crotch of her pants. And now there's a tear in the crotch of the pants. I mean, you got to think about those pants have been around for 46 years, 47 years. So she also had Guttrose's DNA under his fingernails, under her fingernails. Okay, so the DNA that was found under her fingernails was, oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm mixing up two victims. Sorry, you guys, I have so much on my mind. We just bought a new car just a little while ago, and I just got home and I had all this information for you. Okay, so he's been identified in two murders. Leslie Marie Perlov is one, and then the other is Janet. Okay, so in Leslie's murder, she has Guttrose's DNA under her fingernails. Now, the chance that that DNA belongs to anyone other than him is 1 in 65 septillion. Septillion, you guys. So he definitely did that one. All right. So now the green pants. So his DNA is found on the outside and inside of the torn crotch of her green corduroys, right? Chances of DNA belonging to anyone other than Guttrose is 1 in 102 billion. Okay. What are there, 8 billion people on the planet? Like, it's definitely him. But they're saying, well, those pants didn't have a tear in them when they were found, and so now maybe the DNA is planted. That's what they're saying. So very interesting stuff happening. There's so much cool stuff happening with DNA right now. As we know, we talk about it on here a lot. I just wanted to share that with you, because now that's the argument, that maybe it was planted because the pants weren't torn before. I don't think it's going to get them anywhere, but I think it's an interesting thing. I want to welcome you all to the chat. Cami, Moonbeam, Paula, Mouth of the South, Kathy, Kat, welcome to have you all here. Excited to have you here now and a little later when I have more stories for you. But I do have several other interesting cases here. So they, in Florida, there was a serial killer back in the early 2000s who I will tell you looks frighteningly like Ted Bundy in some ways. He's never been identified until now. So he killed Kimberly Dietz Livesey, and he killed Sia DeMoss, and he killed Jessica Good. So this is all between June of 2000 and August of 2001. Okay, so those cases have been unsolved for a really long time. Well, they've now identified this serial killer. His name was Roberto Wagner Fernandez. He was a Brazilian citizen, and he was living in Miami at the time. He went back to Florida, or went back to Brazil after the last murder. But they have linked him to all three crimes. Here's the crappy part. He died in a plane crash in 2005. So they at least have closure for the families, but we don't know, we don't have the whole, get to take him to court kind of thing. So I think that's interesting stuff. I think it's too bad also that they don't get to take him to court for that. And then this last one, this is such a sad story. I don't know if you've ever heard this story. This is about the Martinsville 7. So the Martinsville Seven were 7 men: Francis DeSales Grayson, Booker T. Milner, Frank Hairston, and Howard Lee Hairston, James Luther Hairston, Joe Henry Hampton, and John Claiborne Taylor. And they were convicted of the rape of Ruby Stroud Floyd that occurred on January 8th, 1949. She was in their neighborhood, I guess, collecting money for someone from clothes that she had sold. Apparently, these 7 men were brought in. They were interrogated under duress, and they did not have a lawyer present. They were coerced into confessing and were threatened with mob violence. There was no evidence against them. There was never a trial. They did not have anyone representing them. They were sentenced to death for this completely unproven sexual assault. 4 of them were executed by electric chair on February 2nd, 1951, and the other 3 were executed 3 days later. So they have received a posthumous pardon at this point from Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. Apparently this pardon, let's see, I'll tell you what the statement from the governor's office. While these pardons do not address the guilt of the 7, they serve as recognition from the Commonwealth that these men were tried without adequate due process and received a racially biased death sentence, not similarly applied to white defendants. If only this were the only case that things like that happened. It's horrifying. And there are family members still living of these men who are, at least somewhat vindicated. They have absolutely no idea if they committed that rape or not. None whatsoever. There's no evidence at all that they did. It was simply a racially motivated conviction, and it only took them 2 years to execute them. Can you imagine? That would not happen now. Not saying that there isn't a bias in the American judicial system against people of color, because there definitely is, which we need to continue to work on. But that's how bad it used to be, you guys. Just awful. And I'm glad at least there's a little bit of vindication for them. I wouldn't call it a lot. But, there is a little bit. So that's all I have for you right now. I will be back, and it will be fairly late tonight because I've got to watch 48 Hours. And then I'll be back, and it'll all be about the Daybell kids and what they had to say about their dad, how they are rationalizing away the fact that their mother was murdered when they now know that she was asphyxiated, because she was 49 years old and in good health. They say she wasn't in good health because their dad said that, but there's actually no indication whatsoever that she wasn't in good health. And they now know that she was asphyxiated. They wouldn't give them any other information from her autopsy, apparently, except that she died of asphyxiation. And somehow they're taking that to mean that their dad did not kill her. Now, I can't blame them 100% because this is an incredibly difficult and painful situation to be in. Who wants to believe that their father would asphyxiate their mother? Who wants to believe that he would then marry his mistress and to find out later that he had participated in the deaths of her children and buried them on his own property, where their mother was living at the time? But they're saying that he was framed and that his story needs to be told. These are the clips that we've seen so far, but I will watch the whole episode and come back and report as soon as I can about that and let you know what I know. So I know this is kind of a short update, but I wanted to come in with some of the other stuff so that I can come back later with the rest. So thank you very much if you've joined me live, or those of you that have joined me after the fact. I really appreciate you being here, and I will be back in a while with some more updates. As you know, this is True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sister. Thanks for being here, everybody.